This is Phantom Electric Ghost, and we're with Franky Corcoran, playwright, actor, director, and podcaster. Welcome to the Phantom Electric Ghost podcast. How you doing tonight?
Very good, man. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Well, we love talking to people, in this live format, and it's just fun to be able to get people in this kind of stage. And before we get to the heart of your story, we ask everybody that's on the show a couple questions. What motivates you, and why do you do what you do?
Well, for me, it's a little bit of everything. It's a little bit of doing what makes me happy. It's a little bit of doing what something that's benefiting others. There's a lot of different ways to look at it, I've learned. But for me, I mean, one thing's for sure, I definitely don't do it for fame. Like I don't do this to become famous. You know what I mean? Like that's my big thing. I don't do this because I want to one day be the biggest podcaster and biggest
like Joe Rogan.
Yeah, exactly. For me, I never wanted to strive to do that. I'm like, this is just something that I love to do, and have been able to, make a name for myself, build up a pretty good reputation amongst other podcasters, and even doing plays and stuff like that here in the community here in Miramichi, New Brunswick. And as long as it's one of those things that just continues to benefit the community in a positive way, that's what I'm all about. So I mean, it's kind of really hard to pinpoint one thing in particular that motivates me. It's kind of a little mixture of everything, I'd say.
I think that's cool because a lot of times I run into we were talking before we got on air. I'm a big purveyor of the happy accident, or the idea that you don't have to be perfect, and in the arts, because they kind of like this idea, like when you have like a non-digital canvas and you're a painter, you commit that brush stroke, like you can play with it after, you can try to, like kind of throw colors on it to mix it, but you made that commitment and you're going to kind of go with the direction that you ended up going with. Instead of like in the modern digital age, you can keep on hitting the undo.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, you kind of like, where are you going to be if you keep on hitting that undo?
Doesn't always work that way.
Yeah. So I think, and sometimes it's like, just if you love doing what you do, like if you're a musician, like this whole thing, like if you're a young musician and you grow up, you're learning, right? When you're like 17, 18 with all your other musician friends, there are people that wanted to make it big. And if that doesn't happen in 5 years, then they put the guitar down, they put the sax down, they put the voice down. They actually don't do it again.
But that's where the failure comes. That's where people fail, because they have these incredibly high standards, which, I mean, it's good to have goals. It's good to set goals of, I like to be at this point at this time in my life. But you kind of got to go into it knowing that the journey is not going to be exactly what you think it's going to be. It's gonna, you'll have some bumps. You'll have some, maybe things don't work out exactly how you had hoped. Maybe things don't turn out at all, But it's one of those things that you can't go in saying, set reasonable expectations is probably the best piece of advice that I could give to people. Somebody could be listening to this and going, why would I take advice from you? But if you were to take advice from me, that's the one that I would say. It's any expectations that you have of life or any goals, make sure they're reasonable. Don't say that, for example, let's say someone's going to go on a diet or something and say, I'm going to have a 6-pack by the end of the week. End of the week, today's Monday, I'm going to have a 6-pack by Saturday. You're just like, okay, that doesn't work that
designed
way.
To fail. You're like, that's like you had the design to fail situation.
Yeah, exactly.
And the thing is, I think a lot of times, life is this journey, and the journey is the point. And a lot of people want to plan it out, but I'm kind of like the Jack Kerouac on the road type of mentality, is like, being out there, being a creative, a lot of what happens is you absorb things around you. You're able to kind of channel. And you don't know where that's going to go unless you want to refine it and say, I'm only going to do X. A lot of times the journey takes you where it's going to take you. And you get like a guy like a Miles Davis. He was the bebop king. And then he went to fusion, and people like treat him like Bob Dylan, go and Judas and say, why'd you do that? Well, because it didn't suit me anymore. I need to go somewhere else. sometimes like people who create a canon actually break their own canon.
Yeah.
And
That's actually a really, really good analogy. I like that.
People freak out. Even to this day, there are people that well, hey, I don't like his fusion work. I don't like any of his other work. I only like the bebop. That's fine. That's what you like. But Miles had a different direction.
Yeah, no, and that's exactly it. It's really, you can't really compare yourself to others too much, because that's you're destined to fail right there. That's the thing, when you're constantly saying, well, this person did that, this person did that, this celebrity did this. Like, let's say, for example, I don't know. Well, I want to be a big CEO one day, and the a CEO of an AI company. Well, look how it worked for Andy Byron. You know what I mean? Like something like that. Yeah. For those of you guys who don't know, that's of course the Coldplay. The CEO who got busted at the Coldplay
you don't
concert.
know what's gonna happen. It's like you could have it all planned out, and then you're on the freaking big monitor.
Which to me, I'm like, that's dumb right there. I'm like, you're gonna have an affair. Okay, maybe don't have the affair, but if you're gonna have an affair, just for argument's sake, first off, just don't do the affair.
Or don't go on the Jumbotron. Don't go like where you could be on the Jumbotron.
Exactly. And like, it's not even the Jumbotron's fault. It was just the person was just doing their job, looking around and seeing, okay, who's a cute couple? Oh, look, he's holding her. You know what I mean? He's got his arms wrapped around her. And
they're looking for their moments, and they were trying to be their creative. It's like, that looks like a good moment.
Exactly. And then all of a sudden they're being treated like the bad guy because they busted these two people who are having an affair. It's like
their job is to do that. It's like, that's not like, how would they know that you don't want to be on? Like, you didn't
That's the thing.
Did you sign something to say I will not be filmed?
They must sign waivers though, or actually, no, they probably don't even sign waivers. They probably just go into these games or end concerts knowing that that's a possibility. So it's like, if you don't want to be seen, just don't go.
It's all you had to find print on your ticket. You didn't read it.
Yeah, no, exactly. But then there's like a million people there. How are you going to know where everybody is? Well, I guess seating arrangements and stuff like that. That's one way to put it. But just don't have the affair. That would solve everything.
Well, that goes back to like if you blame everything outside yourself, like I'm a big purveyor of like this idea of the Victorians had a looking glass self. Yeah. If you're a creative, a lot of your work is done from the inner work you do to kind of self-analyze yourself and then mix it with what you've picked up from the outside world. Because like I said before, like we're sponges. As creatives, like we kind of notice things that maybe other people don't notice. And then we also tie that back to our own internal and our kind of dreams and subconscious. And we're able to call on that and kind of mystically, well, not mystically, but we kind of synthesize it into something that's relatable or or art, or maybe it's not relatable, but it's art.
Yeah, exactly. It's art.
But it's interesting because you have a lot of hats. And I think there's a lot of people who kind of put out in the world that people have to be narrowly focused on like X to get to be the top at X, whatever X is or Y is or Z is. And what you find in reality is people tend to be merging a lot of different things. Like, so you get an artist that's a musician, that's a painter, that's baker. Then they cross breed things from different lanes. And a lot of people will try to go distill that and say, well, I'm just, when somebody wants to know what you are, you'll say X, but you're really more than that.
Yeah, no, exactly. Well, it's great to be multi-talented. I mean, you kind of have to be multi-talented if you're going to be pursuing, well, really anything, honestly. I mean, you pick up so many skills off of, like, if you want to be just an actor, this is something, if you want to be just an actor, you can't be just an actor. Just say, this is my full-time job, unless you're, here, going back to what we were saying about having reasonable setting reasonable expectations or goals. You can't pursue a full-time job being an actor unless you're like Tom Cruise or you're like McConaughey.
I didn't do that at the beginning.
No, exactly. Like, he had to start somewhere too. And so to pursue the arts, you have to pick up multiple different skills where you you can act, you can direct, you can work behind the scenes, doing anything behind the scenes. Like it's really, really hard to pursue those types of careers
without being multifaceted.
Exactly. Even doing music, you say you want to sing full time. Okay, I mean, not that you can't, but it's difficult because it's like just jumping from job to job. Maybe there's no singers needed for next week, so I don't have a gig. Like, but if you maybe pick up a job as like an audio engineer or a stagehand or like working
roadie.
Behind the scenes,
you could be a roadie, be an engineer,
be a roadie. You will pick up lots of work. That's how you stay
or
employed.
A session
Really,
player. Like even like if you're a session player, you could get more gigs than being your own band, right?
Yeah, no, absolutely. Like, and I think it's good for people to go in with that mindset of, okay, I don't have a gig, or if you're, let's say you're a TV actor or you want to be a full-time TV actor, but it's just not feasible. If you were to go and say, okay, I don't have a gig, I don't have an acting job for the next, say, X number of months or weeks. I'm gonna go pick up some work working as a assistant director, as an AD, or I'm gonna go work as a gaffer, or I'm gonna go work as anything, or even not necessarily TV. If you're a TV person but you're into music, okay, then you can go be a roadie for a week, or you can go play gigs. Like, you have to
I mean, you get out there. If you're multifaceted, like what you find is like people, like musicians, end up getting to a point where they end up being like a recording engineer to a certain degree when they go to the studio. Every musician back in the days in the 70s, like Pink Floyd, in order to do the work they did, they started to learn how to be recording engineers, and they actually participated really heavy in using that, kind of like what the Beatles did, is treating the recording studio as an instrument.
Yeah,
and a lot of people started realizing that if they do that, they could take more control of what they were doing. Like they could get their vision to not be just narrowly focused to what some Berkeley engineer told them to do. It's like, hey, I want to actually, like Hendrix is like, I want feedback on record. The engineers at the time said, well, you shouldn't do that. He said, no, I want to do that.
Yeah, no, exactly. Yeah, this is what I wanted to do,
Yeah. So sometimes, like, if you can start looking at different hats, you get actors to become, they're writers, writer, director, producer. They have many hats because it's like, I want to get closer to my vision. So I'm going to do more pieces of the puzzle. Not that you're going to be the best at everything, but a lot of times if you get more multifaceted, if you're a singer and you learn more about production, or you learn more about engineering, or running a soundboard, or the writers, it's like you had this age of singers that didn't write their own songs. Then you get Bob Dylan.
Yep.
Then you get this age of the singer songwriters. Oh, I don't have it to give it to those Tin Pan Alley guys. I can actually write it myself. So that opens up a world that's like, hey, I don't actually even have to be the perfect singer.
Exactly. Like, I can't sing, but I could work behind the scenes. I could be a roadie, I'll lug the equipment in,
Yeah, it just gets you out there. And now people are able to do independent films on their iPhone.
Literally, it's actually insane what people can do. Actually, it's funny that you mentioned that headshot that is in the thumbnail of this video. I took that on my iPhone.
Oh, wow.
Someone asked me, they saw that. They said, what photographer took that? I said, me, with this.
Yeah. You can do a lot of stuff, and they do it yourself. Now, there's always people say, well, you shouldn't master your own record. Everybody knows that they say that. But there's a lot of people that actually, in the indie world, and the kind of, if you go into underground, in order to get that thing into the world, like they might have done it on Bandcamp, but they've done it themselves. Now, eventually, when they get more money, more resources, they'll give it to a professional. But there's nothing wrong with that, doing some things, learning some aspects of the industry yourself.
Really helps. Well, I mean, something that's a big thing now too is doing stuff like recording stuff from home. We're able to do so much from home now. Even this right here, I'm literally
Yeah.
doing this from my bedroom / office /
Yeah, me
recording
too.
studio.
I'm in my
So
bedroom
the fact
Bristol suit.
that we're able to network in this way, like there's people who I see now are making their livings literally off of doing just commercials and stuff through what we're doing. We have the technology, we have these amazing Shure microphones, or not just these microphones, but I mean there's so many amazing
Gear.
pieces
There's
of
gear.
equipment and gear that you can use and literally just do it right from your home. So there's benefits of doing it from home. Preferably, I'm for some people, well, maybe not for me per se, but I'm sure there'll be some days where I'm like, I can't really focus on home. Like I even do that if I'm writing. Some days I'm at home and there's too many distractions. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna sit here. I'm gonna sit here and work, and I'm gonna sit here and write the script. Oh shit, the dog's here. Oh yeah, we're gonna start playing.
You kind of need to go somewhere else.
Yeah. So if I go to a coffee shop, that's the best. And some people say, why is that less distracting than going to or than doing it at home? It's like, well, there's nothing really else to distract you from there aside from it's also just being in that atmosphere,
Yeah,
because,
the stuff that you can kind of block out with, like your dog is your dog.
Yeah,
Other
exactly.
stuff you can actually, it's noise, but you can block it out. It can become like background noise.
And then also, especially if you're writing about or like a script where people are talking, even just hearing people talk.
Well, that can
Not
help
that you're,
you.
yeah, not that you're eavesdropping on what they're saying, but
No,
you're
but
kind of
that's
just
the thing.
getting a
That's
sense
fun.
of how they talk, and you can write realistic, believable dialogue through that. So I think that's a great benefit, doing it, in cafes and stuff. But even as going back to the recording part of it, where we're in a day and age now where people can literally just do like what we're doing from home. And I think it's in some cases it's better to be in person. I mean, it kind of has its benefits. I mean, you being like thousands of episodes in, would you prefer to do it in person, or do you like this way better?
I actually get to talk to more people from around the world. I talk
Yeah.
to a lot of international people that there's no way I could actually afford that. So, like, if I'm talking to somebody from Germany, somebody from Japan, somebody from Netherlands, to physically do that, I
It's a
would
lot.
need to have the studio, right? I would have to have the budget to get them here. And so
Yeah.
I'm allowed to do stuff that I couldn't have done. Um, and so like it's cool if you had a budget, but you don't have the budget. So I think this format for the last since 2016, I've been able to talk to people from all over the world.
Exactly.
There's no way I would have been able to do it. So I just didn't have a budget to do this to support that.
And we make it sound like we're in the same room right now.
Yeah.
Maybe people are listening to this and they're not watching the live stream on YouTube, but they're just like, oh, they're in the same room. Yeah, no, not really.
Yeah.
I'm in Canada and you're in, where are you at again?
New Hampshire.
New Hampshire. So we're a little bit of ways. But it sounds like we're right in the same room, and it's 7:25 where I am, and it's what time where you are?
17.
6:17.
Yeah.
Oh geez, yeah. So I'm a little. He's like AM. It's 6:17 AM. There's a 12-hour difference. Can you imagine? But that's where we're at now. Like where it's technology so cool, and hell, maybe this is even us. Maybe this is AI talking.
Yeah, well, but you never can know. But I know I'm me. But that's me talking.
Yeah, you don't know. I am.
Maybe how 9,000 talking to you.
I'm a bot right now. You don't even realize.
But I think it's super interesting, like the do-it-yourself world of like now we've got the tech to be able to not have to go to a TV station, not have to go to a radio station, not have to work. I don't have to have a secretary booking people. This is like a one-person operation.
You are the secretary.
Yeah, I'm a techie. Like in my day job, I'm a system analyst, software designer. So I've used a lot of the tech that AI gives us to do workflows and all kinds of stuff that I can automate. So there's a lot of capability that years ago I would have needed maybe 2-3 people to help me. Now I can pretty much do a lot of it all myself. So why not?
Exactly. And it's cheaper. Well, some people say like hire editors and stuff like that. It's like, okay, I could, but I can just do it myself. You know what I mean? Like
it has the vision. It's like the idea. Like if you think about a guy like Prince or a guy like Hendrix, he would go and it's like, this is what I want. And so Hendrix was known for going back and even redoing the bass lines of Noel Redding because it didn't hit what he wanted. And Prince was known for playing every single instrument to get what he wanted, right? And now today with the Dawes, there's a lot of people that can do that kind of Prince level thing. There are people that are creating like musical or even product film with their own vision in mind, and they kind of got their Orson Welles ideas. I want to do what I want, and I didn't know I couldn't do it, so I'm going to do it.
Well, it makes it easier too, because then you're not going back and forth of like, okay, how'd that turn out? No, can you change this, or can you change that? And then they change it again, and then you're like, nah, it's still not what I want. It's like sometimes it's better if you have a vision to just do it yourself.
Yeah, I think for people that don't have a vision or they're not confident, like, well, I think there's a level of like there's a permission structure that allows you to be a creative, and then there's that permission structure that allows you to put that work out in the world. Now, the person that's willing to not only just create it, but put it into the world and not be hurt anytime somebody doesn't like it and continue to grow, that's a certain type of person that can handle that. Other people is like, well, no, I need a lot of help to do that. And other people have a way of, they get teams together and they can put it together, but other people are very self-directed. If they really know what they want, they're going to go out and do it.
Yeah, and that's all it is to it. And sometimes it's something that people shouldn't take personally. It's just I just know what I want, and it's much easier for me to just simply do it than to try to explain to you, this is what I need to do. Can you do it exactly like this? And then when you get it, you're like, okay, it's still good. It's just not what I want. Maybe I'll just do it. Here, like, just give it to me. I'll do it,
Yeah, I think that's interesting because like there are times when I've been in bands, but
right.
I've always been kind of like the alpha in the band where I was like writing the song. Right. I even if there was a guy singing the song, I was writing it. Right. And then I said, you know what? If I'm going to end up writing it, I'm going to end up singing it and do the whole thing. And so I got to a point where I'm just going to do the whole thing myself because like I got tired of waiting for somebody to show up or not be on time or the personalities and the tension. And it's like, you know what? There's some situations where having a band and a collaborative effort is the point. And other times it's like, I have a vision. I know what I want to do. And I'm just going to do it because I want to get it out. I don't want to wait 2 years to get it out. I want to get it out like now.
Yeah. And I think it's also good too that you are doing your podcast. By the way, yeah, I just turned up the volume on my mic too. I just realized it was kind of down. People are like, holy God, his voice just spiked. It's even doing podcasts, it's easier to do by yourself because you're not having to rely on, if you're doing a podcast with like 3 people, like, do you think you'd be able to do your podcast if it was like you and 3 others, like at the pace that you currently do it? Could you do it with 3 people, or is it easier?
Probably not, because people would start messing up on the schedule.
Yeah, that's the hard part about it.
That's the problem. It's like when you start getting the schedule starts getting complicated, then it starts dropping. Like I had a couple of times where I actually had co-host. Like at the very beginning, I worked with Rock Tunes. We did this thing that was not really Fam Electric. It was our own thing. And we did like 6 months of talking about music. And that worked because it was like me and him. We could 2 people I could control. And then I did this other thing with another musician. We did it for maybe like 6 episodes. But it was like scheduling. It started to get in trouble. And we would bring somebody on, maybe have an artist. So we'd have 3 people on. And it was cool. But it was really starting to like, oh, well, we got to work schedules. And I like to talk to as many people as I can. And if it's just me, I can schedule as many. Sometimes I'll have 2 or 3 episodes in a day live. And, trying to schedule that with 2 or 3 people being on the show itself is like, wasn't working unless I paid them.
Yeah, no, exactly. Like, and that's the part, like, let's say you get a big guest and you have your 2 other co-hosts, and then one of those co-hosts cancels last minute and they're like, oh my God, can we reschedule it? Well, no, we can't reschedule it because we just got this person. What do you mean? And then that causes butting of heads. It's like, well, buddy, I'm sorry that, I don't know, you had a sore tummy when we were trying to interview Donald Trump or whoever. I don't know.
Yeah. If you get some big guy, you don't want to drop out just because like your internal staff can't show up.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. I don't know why I said Donald Trump. I literally
yeah,
just said
yeah,
that first
yeah,
person.
yeah. I get the idea. You get this like, big celebrity, you get to show up. Like when it ends up being easier. Like it's like this idea of like the punk aesthetic. What I loved about the punk aesthetic is like you show up and you have heart and you can do it.
Yeah.
You go back and you look at bands like, I don't know, big time in the bands like Hoosh Kadu. They actually did an album like in a warehouse in like 24 hours. Um, and when they did it, it's like it was called Zen Arcade, and they didn't go back and do heavy editing, and it got like 5 stars in Rolling Stone because it was like this in the moment kind of just that. Yeah, it had a lot of heart, had a lot of passion, and it is what it is. Everything was like second take, first take, third take, and I was really impressed with the fact that they just wanted to get it done and didn't obsess about trying to make it perfect. And it's in that moment that they did it, they captured something. And that to me has always been like what that's what I like about art. When people can actually express themselves to exactly what they wanted to do in the
Yeah,
moment.
art is the best. Like art is really, it helps people in a lot of different ways. And like yeah, like it's kind of hard to put into words really. I mean, like unless someone really who doesn't understand, like trying to explain that to somebody who doesn't understand, it's kind of difficult. It's like you got to actually be able to experience what we're doing in order to understand it, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, 'cause I think a lot of people I've talked to some people. I had this one guy, I won't get that was he wanted to be a podcaster. He had saw me doing it for like 2 years, and he kept on obsessing like I can't do it um unless I have this gear, this equipment, all these things. I say, hey, when I started, I just did it on a phone.
Yeah,
Right?
literally.
It's like you don't have to be perfect. Right. I kept on telling like if you want to go out the gate, just start it. Like the biggest hurdle is you actually start it. Right. And that's what I tell a lot of people, like even artists, they like they got all this stuff sitting in their attic or sitting in their loft or sitting on the floor. And it's like they're so scared of putting it in the world because they don't know what people are gonna think. It's like you gotta get it out, you
Yep.
know.
There's only
That's
one way, especially if you want to do it. That's
yeah.
the one thing. If you want to make a live or maybe not make a living, but you want to do something like this, you got to put yourself out there, man. Like you got to, and even someone who wants to, like if there's a musician who wants to sell his music and stuff like that, well, you got to put your stuff out there. You can't just record it, put it in a shelf and go, nah, nobody needs to see that. Maybe I'll get around to it. No, that's not how that works. You got to make the calls. You got to book the gigs. You got to
Yeah,
talk to
you gotta get
producers and
out
stuff.
and like tour and get
Yep.
a fan base, do the merch, build that kind of, word of mouth. And
It's a
that's
whole
what
thing.
I
Yeah.
loved about the punk aesthetic. Like you got guys like a Paul Westerberg and the kind of like sub well, you think about when like Nirvana, the whole grunge scene. And you had all these bands that were on Sub Pop like, and they were all grunge bands, and like they happened to Nirvana broke through, but they had this scene where they were all kind of knew each other and they were all pumping each other up. But it's like they just put it out there. They just created this kind of movement, like the punk movement back in the 70s, like the Ramones and Television, all these bands. They just said, we got the heart, like the Clash. I'm just gonna go out like Joe Strummer, and I don't care. I don't got perfect pitch, but I'm just gonna be. I got heart. Like I'm gonna go do it. you know.
Yeah, just do it, man. Yeah, just go for it. Like, um, when people say, "Oh, if I like, is there anybody who can do it for me?" It's like, no, 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 that's you, man. You can't have other people do it for you. Like, okay, it's one thing if it's an agency or something
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
like, okay, like this is literally their job. But like, if you're going on your own, like you're going to be your own agent. That's you. You got to do it. If you're not comfortable with it, that's when you hire an agent.
yeah. Well, that's where you gotta worry about certain things. Like if you get certain producers are very cookie cutter, like their whole thing is like, well, they like getting their signature sound because they actually get paid for it.
Yep.
So if they put their signature sound on everything, they're getting the majority of the royalty. And my whole point is like if you are somebody that wants your own secret sauce, which is your individual vision, to be out there. Like if you go to the person who's going to make you that big hit, it's most likely going to get built off of their reputation more than yours. And so you have to decide, what do you want to do? Like, do you want to be that big hit, or do you want to actually have your voice heard? And it's, if you're getting your voice heard, you can end up having a story like REM, or Michael Stipe and REM. They had their own vision. They all split for 25, 25, 25. They had a vision. They were on IRS. They were college radio. And then that vision suddenly linked to like the kids, like, oh, I understand this. Like, I get it. And then it broke through. They weren't like a corporate band.
Yeah.
They weren't one of these bands that was like created, I don't want to name them, but there's this whole thing of these corporate kind of creations that really was like, oh, we're going to try to figure out the algorithm and make this band fit.
Yeah. Or they think they're bigger than they are.
Yeah. Yeah, you get these, and that's always that to me. And I always went for like the Velvet Underground, right? I always went for like Alex Chilton, big star. I always went for like the Replacements. I always went for the kind of underdog.
Yeah, exactly.
That was my whole thing. Is I like the underground, emerging, new artist that's in the scene, that's on the mixtape scene, it's on SoundCloud, it's over here and so in Berlin, or they're in Norway, or somebody's doing something different. And to me, that's what's appealing.
It's also appealing because it's actually really inspiring too, because there's lots of people who like singers like who I know that like aren't well known, but I'm like, how are you not more well known? Like it's one of those things, like there we have a lot of amazing like country artists and stuff like that, like locally where I am here. Mm-hmm. And there's people that I see, some of them where I'm like, dude, like you're talented, man. Like you're like on the like Luke Combs level, like you know what I mean? I mean, not in terms of fame, but in terms of like talent, I'm like, you got a great voice and everything. And so that's why I really do like the emerging artists. Even there's a music festival, country music festival that happens in the Maritimes here every year in Cavendish. Anybody listening locally knows exactly what I'm talking about. If not, basically it's a country music festival that happens, and they have the big events where they have like the big country stars, Luke Combs and all those others. And then they also do this now, emerging showcase, or sorry, emerging artist showcase, where they have people from different areas who come in to perform some of their stuff. And I think that's so good that they have that, because there are lots of emerging artists that need to be recognized. And I think that, a lot of them, you hear some of them, you're like, hell, that's better than half the shit that's on today.
Most of the emerging artists are like college radio back in my day. I'm a child of the 70s, right? So the college radio was really what was doing it. That's how REM kind of got out there. That's how the Who's Do's and Replacements, Camper Van Beethoven, all these bands back in the day, I'm naming off, they all were on college radio stations. And then eventually MTV, like 120 Minutes, there was a place that people could find these people. And that seems to be less and less now. Other than, there are other underground ways of finding people. There are people who have indie podcast or YouTube shows that focus on indie music, or the SoundClouds of the world and places like that. There's all kinds of mixtapes and Bandcamp, but like that to me has always been the real scene. Like the CBGB scene. Like is that's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for something like that, where I'm not necessarily looking for what's in the top 20, 30. That's not my interest.
No, exactly. Like you're. It's even like when you look at some of the highest grossing films of all time, and you look at them and you're like, okay, how many of these movies are actually good? You know what I mean? Like you kind of start looking at them and you're like, which ones are actually good? Like you look and there's like a bunch of the Transformers are on there, and you're like, why is that? Like, so that's
what's that's going to nourish the soul. Like if you go see a good foreign film, a good indie film, it will usually nourish the soul, versus like the big high dollar, big budget films.
Yes, exactly.
Somebody telling a story.
I'm just kind of pulling up on here to see highest grossing films of all time. See, like a lot of them are really good, but then you get to like what's one on here? You get to Black Panther. Black Panther I find is kind of overrated. That's just my opinion. I don't think it's bad. But then you got Furious 7 on there. I'm like, okay, that's not bad. But there's some of them on there. You're like, okay, like which ones are actually good movies? You know what I mean? Like,
I would just go say point out like Orson Welles films are probably nowhere on there, and like the Third Man.
Like I'm seeing what else there. Well, there's
Citizen
the Beauty.
Kane, is probably not on there.
No, Citizen Kane. No, that was there's no way that's on here.
Evil,
Pirates of the Caribbean 4 is on there. It's like, okay, that wasn't bad. That was
modern era stuff.
Yeah, like they're like all modern era stuff. So then you look at like the only one that's like older that made a lot of money is Titanic, which is at number 4 as the highest grossing film. But let me look at Citizen Kane just for craps. I'm just curious to see what it says. 1.8 million.
Yeah, but see that doesn't show you like just because the money.
Yeah,
they got the money doesn't mean about the quality. I always try to point that out to people. Because like you run into something like, I'm a jazz guy and I like Sun Ra. Sun Ra was like recently discovered to be like the jazz equivalent of like the Velvet Underground.
Yeah.
Like an American jazz band that was around since the 50s that went like from like bebop into fusion and experimental jazz at the same time or even before Miles. And is considered to be like a super like prolific inspirational band to a lot of jazz greats. Like if you ask them, they'll say like Sun Ra inspired them, right? They understood that they were innovative, but they weren't widely known. But just because somebody's not widely known doesn't mean they're not good. And I think we're living in an age where the number of views, the number of likes, the dollars is kind of killing the idea of innovation and like artistic value.
Like even podcasts. I mean, there's lots of podcasts out there that aren't in like the top 200 or anything like that you're like, why is this not in the top 200? Why is Phantom Electric Ghost podcast not in the top 200? You know what I mean? Like,
well, people like whatever's gonna give them like the big high dollar vision, or trips the algorithm. That's what everybody's interested in. But like I say, I always point out like William Blake, the famous poet, was not known in the Victorian age. He died in the Victorian age, and his work was found in a barn, and he was only became famous after he was dead.
Right, and that's the sad part about a lot of them. A lot of them don't get discovered really until it's too late.
Yeah,
that's just the reality.
The quality of his work, he's there with Wordsworth and Keats and Tennyson and all of them. It's like his work was like, and actually even to this day, because it's more succinct than Tennyson and Wordsworth. His poetry is not as verbose. And actually a lot of songwriters have kind of keyed in on his style, and it influences like a lot of different media and different art forms because of what he did. And so somebody's impact doesn't always get represented by like the monetary value or the popularity.
Yeah, money's not everything. That's the thing. I mean, like, yeah, sure, money's money. People can do what they got to do to, make like it's one thing. Like here's one thing. Like if I'm putting on a concert and I'm like, okay, I got two choices here. We want to make lots of money. We can either book. I'm just gonna throw this out there. Like, I don't know. We can either book Guns N' Roses, or we can book this amazing band that's just starting out. Okay,
GNR.
from a business point of view, absolutely, you would have to go with Guns N' Roses. It's just that's
Or maybe you can have the other band as an opening act.
As an opener, no, exactly. Like there's a too. Like there's ways to compromise, but like if you're looking to just have one band, like you're not even having openers, like just like right there from a business point of view, you'd have to look at that and go, yeah, like we have to do Guns N' Roses. Like there's like why is this even a debate? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. But it seems like the opening act situation might not be where it used to be, because like Tom Petty was an opening act.
Yeah, that's right too, eh?
Yeah. So I mean, it's like a lot of bands got their opportunity because they were opening acts, And if you don't leave that space open for the unknown bands, then we start getting just a replication of the same thing. You get people just keep on looping the same thing that works because I understand business wants to know what's going to work.
Yeah, exactly. That's one thing. Yeah, people just look at them like, and then they'll say, why wouldn't they give them a chance? Like, well, it's business. That's what it is. You want to make money. You do an emerging artist showcase. You know what I mean? Like, that's something like we mentioned goes on at the music festival in the Maritimes here. That's a perfect thing that should be done everywhere more frequently, really. It really should be done. Just because it shines some more light on them. And like you said, have them open for some of the bigger bands too. Okay, we can only choose between Guns N' Roses and this band called, I don't know, the Phantom Ghosts. I don't know. Make up a random name. Okay. Guns N' Roses, obviously we're going for, but can we compromise and can we put Phantom Ghosts as an opener? That's a good way to get them noticed too. Like there's lots of ways to get people recognized too. And I think it's not always about the money, but money will always play a big part no matter what it is, because you're working with budgets and everything. So that's just how it goes. Ultimately that's just the reality of the business, is that at the end of the day, it's right there in the name, showbiz, business. Yeah. It is a business.
Yeah, it's a business. Interesting. Like Frank Zappa used to point out that he thought back in the old days, the business guys were more willing to say, well, I don't maybe understand it, but maybe the kids will like it. There's like famous clip of Zappa saying that what he didn't like about the more modern industry was that they did not have that mindset. Like the management would say, we know we want to get the things that are going to make money. Where the other guys would say, maybe I don't understand it, but I'll let it give it a chance to breathe. And so you would get bands that could get signed, do 2, 3, 4 albums, and before they got dropped. But now it's like the only way you make it today is you got to go on TikTok and YouTube and kind of do it yourself and build a buzz and then get picked up from there. Where the old way was the A&R would build your buzz for you. So you got to build your own buzz. You got to build your own buzz, which is like, okay, your destiny is in your own hands.
Yep. No, exactly. That's it. Like it kind of goes back to what we were talking about, how, it's up to you. If you're a solo artist without an agency, that's up to you. You know what I mean? To get that out there.
And then, so when you're doing all the different hats you wear, which hat do you, I guess it goes from like phase to phase. Like, is there any particular thing you like doing more, like the podcast versus the acting versus other things you do? Like, what is it kind of more in the moment? What you're working on? Is that's what I want to do right now?
I think it's kind of a little bit of both. Like, that's actually a good way to put it. It's how, like in the moment, like how you feel in the moment. Like when I'm podcasting, it's like, podcaster, blah, blah. When I'm writing a playwright, and then acting, this is what I want to do. Like, so there's a lot of different, it's, I always say, or compare it to, it's kind of like picking a favorite child. You're like, you can't pick one. How you gonna pick? You got like 5 children, but which one's your favorite? So really, there's not really one in particular that I'd say. I mean, like one thing that people will know about me is, of course, I'm a big theater guy. Like whether it's on stage or off stage, behind the scenes, writing, directing, or producing, or whatever the case may be. I think just as a theater guru, I think that's probably a good way to put it. And then theater guru and podcaster, I guess maybe is a good way to put it, because I mean, as I said, like with theater, there's not really one particular thing I do that, like, I mean, I'm kind of liking more behind the scenes work. I still
being on the stage. Is that
like
where you are now?
I'm kind of, well, like I still do lots of acting and stuff like that too, which is, fun and everything. But there's something about like, writing and directing and stuff like that, it's I'm getting more enjoyment out of it. And it's something that's, it's a lot more work for sure. I find it's a lot more work, acting versus directing, having done both. I think it's a lot more to direct because you're handling everything. Like you're handling everything about the production.
Yeah.
Whereas as an actor, I just gotta show up and know my lines. Whereas the director, okay, make sure this goes good, make sure this light here, blah, 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 blah. And then also, I also take on the hat as producer too. So I'm also handling ticket sales. I'm making sure
budget,
that budget and everything. It's just a whole thing, but it's still very rewarding at the end of the day. Like, it's one of those things that, at the end of it, you might like throughout the whole process, you might want to tear your hair out. But also once it's done, I mean, it to me, it really doesn't matter if it's something that because I mean, we will all complain about certain things. Like, if you're a musician and you're on tour and you're like, oh God, like, I can't wait for this friggin' tour to be done. It's not that you don't like touring. It's just you're tired and you're ready for it to be done. That's the same kind of deal with doing the stuff with theater. You're just like, oh my God, like this play is going to drive me crazy. And then once you get to the end, you're like, I can't wait to do it again. It's like Stockholm syndrome, I guess you could say.
You get stuck in it. Yeah,
the best kind of Stockholm syndrome, like, it's not bad. It's just there's bumps in the road, but it's one of those things. It's kind of like parenting. I don't have kids, but
when you get drawn, well, you're kind of like, oh, it's my responsibility.
Yeah, exactly. And you're like, oh, the kids drive me freaking nuts. And then at the end of the day, you're like, oh, I love that freaking kid. Like,
well, you love the rewards. Like it's your baby. Like when you create art, it's like your baby. And if you have a kid, it's always not sweetness and light all the time.
No, anybody who wants to be a parent, who wants to go in for it with no stress or anything, stick with a dog.
It's not gonna, even the dog's not gonna be sweet and light all the time.
No, I got a dog. I don't have kids, but I have dogs. He was just here actually a minute ago. I was talking and I'm not sure if you saw him. He was nudging at me.
Yeah, I saw him.
You saw him, yeah. I was just like, oh dear. That's what he does whenever I'm talking, but I'm not talking to him because he just hears me talking to myself right now. But even just a dog, I'm like, oh wow, this is a lot of work. I'm like, if I had a kid, I'd be screwed.
It's interesting because being a child of the 70s, I noticed you played like Felix Ungar on The Odd Couple.
Yes, I did.
That appeals to me because like I'm a child of the 70s, so I was into, like that show. And the play, I understand the play. So the play is a lot different than the TV show. A lot of people probably grew up watching the TV show. I don't know how many people actually saw the play. So
yeah, it's funny. I actually went the opposite way for you. Well, like, I saw the play first. I read the play first. Like, I've always known The Odd Couple. Like, I always knew the story and stuff like that, but I never actually like sat down and read it, or I never sat down and watched it or anything. And then it was doing high school here. That's kind of where I got started in theater. And then I continued to do community theater. Our high school director has his own troupe that we still do plays through as well, and he brings back the graduates, anybody who's around, and we continue to do plays. And so for years, people had always said, like, you and his name was Chris, you and Chris need to play Oscar and Felix in The Odd Couple. And they always said that throughout high school, and they're like, you guys need to do that, it'd be so perfect. And then I think it was like 3 years or 2 years after we graduated, something like that, our director said, yeah, I think now's the time to do it. You guys are older, I think it's time to do it. And he left it up to us. He said, I'm just going to test something here. I'm going to see, you guys decide who would be better as which, like Oscar or Felix. And we ultimately decided. And then he said, yeah, no, that's kind of what I thought, like I'd be Felix and he'd be Oscar. He just said, I was just kind of curious to see what you guys would think. And maybe it could have worked either way. But and then so I read the script. He gave it to me like right afterwards, and I was like, yeah, this is gold. Like, this is gold. It's exactly what I expected from The Odd Couple. And I mean, as I said, I always knew the gist of it, but it was one of those stories that I just never. It's kind of like something like Mamma Mia. You're like, you see it the story, but you're like, have I actually seen it? I don't think I've actually seen it. And then I watched the movie, and I watched a little bit of, like the Jack Lemmon show, a little bit of the Matthew Perry one, but not much. And, but I definitely wanted to make sure I said that I don't, as I'm playing it, I don't want it to be like a direct, like I'm ripping off of those guys. I'm like, I want to make it my own.
Make
So
your own
I was
thing.
almost trying to avoid it as best I could, because I'm like,
Yeah, you don't want to get like you don't want to be influenced.
it'd be like if he said, "Hey, we're doing Joker," you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Or something. The director says you're playing Joker. I'm like, okay, I'm not gonna watch Joaquin Phoenix do it,
yeah,
because or like, you know,
you have to not watch it so you can get your own take on it.
exactly. That's the thing, and that's why it's a big task for a lot of like the big actors and stuff, like Robert Pattinson taking on Batman, where it's like there's been so many iterations of him, and he's like, how can I make this my own without making it sound like, because no matter what, people are going to be saying, oh, he's trying to act like Christian Bale, even though he's not. It's just Christian Bale is just playing Batman. That's just how Batman is. Like, you can't change Batman. So I think but then that makes for a good challenge though for the actors, is just trying to make it their own without like I even had I was set to do a play. It was after I graduated. It was a theater group around here, led by an amazing man. He passed away before we ended up actually staging the show, so we ended up kind of just dropping it. We were doing One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, and he casted me as Billy Bibbit. And one of the first things he says, he asked me was, "Have you seen the movie?" I said, "No, but I'm gonna watch." He said, "I'm gonna stop you right there. Don't watch the movie." He said, "Wait till this is done. I don't want you to try to, you know, I don't want whoever, I can't remember who played him in the movie, but I don't want his portrayal to influence you in any way. Just
or like a Jack Nicholson, you don't want to do that.
Yeah. I think it was Jack Nicholson who played? I can't remember who played him, but he was just like, just don't touch the movie now. Wait till we're done. And I think that's a great way to go about it, is to just walk in blind. It's almost like whenever you're like getting cast in a play or a movie where it's an original story, so you don't have any other source material. You're just like, I just have to build this character from scratch, basically.
Yeah, that might be. Is that preferable sometimes? Like, is it with an indie project where you have something that's not a known property? As an actor, do you like the things that have a not a known property? You like the known concept?
I kind of like a little bit of both. I think I'd lean more so towards on the side of I like just creating one just from scratch. Even if it's a well-known character, or like a character in a well-known play or something. As long as I don't see that play and I don't try to be influenced by it at all. But yeah, I think it's better because it then allows, because then almost people can look at you and go, like, nobody else could have played that. Maybe somebody else could have played it, but nobody else, like, you played it to perfection. You know, like, you want to get those types of compliments from people. And so I'd say, yeah, it's probably better to just build it right from scratch instead of, here, we're doing Batman and you're playing the Joker. I'm like, okay, I'm going to go look at Heath Ledger and see how Heath Ledger did it. You know, it's like, no, don't do that, because then you're going to be doing an impression of Heath Ledger the whole time, and we don't want that.
Do you think there's too many kind of rehashing of the same like type of films over and over nowadays, where like people keep on remaking the same film multiple times, and they're like, okay, like, where's the original content?
Well, it's like, to a certain extent I get it, because it's one of those things that, you know, like someone asked, why are we getting a new Shrek movie? We're getting Shrek 5 coming out next year. Someone says, why do we need it? It's like, okay, maybe we don't need it, but you know, we're like we have family and stuff like that. Like, people are having kids and they're showing their kids like Toy Story and stuff like that. We're getting Toy Story 5, by the way, too.
Yeah.
So like, you know, they're showing their kids Toy Story and they're showing their kids Shrek, and then they find out like it's a good way where it's one of those timeless classics that you don't want to let go, you know, like, you don't want it to just be forgotten. So to me, I think it's good. Like, well, like I it also depends on how it's done too. Like I saw the new Superman movie about a month ago when it came out, and it was absolutely spectacular. It was a great
it seems
movie.
like it's like a different vision. Like, if somebody takes something and they have a new vision for it, that's
exactly
cool. But
it's
I
like,
guess,
as long as it's a good story, good script, you know, then I guess there's no such thing as not as there's no such thing as not doing too much. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
there's no
Like,
such thing as rehashing at that point. As long as you keep it fresh and you keep it like now it'd be one thing if they just remade the same movie. Like if they remade Lion King again in like 10 years, just be like, really? Like, good
why did you do
Lord.
that? Because you've already done it. And I kind of like the line art of the original cartoon, not the new modern animation.
New ones just, yeah. Like the new ones just, oh yeah, see, even one like this guy here, see? This guy
Yeah.
here. Yeah. Okay, go on, buddy. Even the new one just looks so real, which
Yeah.
it
defeats the purpose.
it's funny that we say it's live action because it's actually not live action, it's fully animated.
Yeah, but
makes it more impressive though too. The fact that we're saying it's live action, but it's like, hey, guess what? It's actually not. It's all fake.
But there's something about this is why I kind of point out, like if I go see the original Snow White or the original Bambi, it used to be as a child in the 70s that was something you would watch that movie because it was a classic.
Yeah.
And we would watch the original, like Charlotte's Web. We watched like Fantasia. We didn't really want like a new one. We just like we held on to that original, and we kind of had the nostalgia for the original. And I don't know if it's because of our attention spans or the way that we consume media today that the new generation they won't accept the old versions of these movies.
Yeah,
that they want to see a new version where, like in the 70s, we kind of like, oh, that's what that movie is. So that's like it can remain that way.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like the problem with the Lion King was we know exactly where this is gonna go. It's not like when Mufasa gets to the cliff and stuff with that. We're like, okay, maybe he'll survive. You're just like, no, he's dead. Like, he gonna die, And but at least if you're watching, like watching the new Superman movie or you're watching Batman and stuff like that, at least they change it up a little bit. Or like Spider-Man too, they change Spider-Man up too. Aside from Uncle Ben, he dies in every movie or every iteration of Spider-Man.
Yeah, it's like James Bond. They always get a new James Bond.
Yeah, exactly. And so, it's like no matter what, you're gonna get, that's just part of it. Like that's something where it's just, if you're gonna redo something, just make it fresh. Don't make it the same thing. Otherwise, it's just gonna be like, why are we doing this, guys? Like, what is the point?
Yeah. It's just like if you watch the Star Wars, you're gonna blow up the Death Star again. I mean,
again,
keep on blowing up the Death Star. Is that all we can do?
It's like, goddamn, it's like the 10th time.
Can we do something else?
Can we destroy anything else but the Death Star? God damn.
Yeah, we do like Star Trek. Like at least you can go into these other stories. But you keep on doing the same story.
Exactly. That's the hard part about it. It's like, just splice it up a little bit, that would help.
Yeah, it's interesting. But like in podcasting, like when did you start podcasting?
I started podcasting January 2022 was when I started. It was, so of course I started my own theatrical company, Corcoran Entertainment. I launched it in March 2021, and I was getting ready because I had thought about doing a podcast for years, and it was just like, how do I do it? Where do I start and stuff like that? And then we were set to stage our first production, and COVID hit. Restrictions came back. We had to isolate and everything, and postpone the delay or the play till summer 2022. So, I'm in the fall. I'm like, okay, well, what am I going to do now? I said the project that I was working on now, I can't do it until this eases off. So I said, what can I do? And I said, what if I start a podcast? And so I basically kind of combined Corcoran Entertainment is the Corcoran Entertainment Show, where I talk about not just like theater stuff, but like I talk about entertainment as a whole, bring on lots of actors, and I've had some well-known people in the industry as well too have come on, people from all different walks of life in the industry, music, TV, movies, theater. I've even had like scientists on. You know what I mean? Like it kind of expands it, because then it's more entertaining when I'm sitting here getting a lesson. I'm like, I don't know what I'm talking about, but like it's almost like it's entertaining to watch me learn about this stuff. You know what I mean?
Things. Well, yeah, because it goes against like what we were talking about earlier. Was like people kind of want you to be in a lane. and they'll say, well, is it this? What is this about? Like, so, but if you expand your palette of guests or the people who come on to maybe talk about other areas like scientists versus like entertainers, then you're like, well, I just think it's interesting. It's like how do I approach it? It's a challenge to like bring people, to bring this into your ecosystem and then make it work.
Yeah. No, exactly. And it's good, like, just for it's good for networking too. I mean, like, through some of those guests, I mean, like, I've been able to make some affiliations with them, and people can buy some of their products using promo codes. The promo code Corcoran and stuff like that. So, like, we've been able to network through that, and
like
it's been great. And I even got to meet you too, and I'd love to have you on mine.
We like to do that. I haven't done that in like a year. I used to go on more podcasts because I was actually doing so many on my own channel, but I do like to go on other people's shows. So
definitely. And I love the way that you do yours. Like, this one was just very casual, like it was just like, just shoot two guys shooting the shit. And that's what I love about podcasting too. It's like, we're not under any time constraints or nothing, which is nice.
Yeah. I mean, and we actually hit our hour mark, which always happens on the way that.
Hey, look at that. Yeah. I just noticed that too. I said, oh shit. I said, me talking about this. And then we just hit the hour mark.
Yeah. People always like, well, what are we going to do to fill the hour? I said, from my experience, we will fill the hour.
Oh, we will. Oh my God, we absolutely will. Yeah, exactly. And you did a great job with it, man. That was awesome.
But thank you again for being on the show today. We do have your Spotify podcast channel. It's a little complicated, but you will be able to click on that in the podcast description. We've been on LinkedIn, YouTube, and Kick. We'll be on all the other platforms that you can listen to or watch a podcast by tomorrow. We'll get a landing page to your audience, and I want to thank you again for being on the Family Electric Ghost podcast.
Well, thank you very much, Phantom. I appreciate it very much, and let's definitely stay in contact, man. Like, this was awesome. So definitely. Great stuff, man. I'm very happy to see what you're doing.
Thank you.